In this week's video, I want to talk about two things. One is why I have this YouTube channel, and the other one is how I create the content in terms of the equipment, the strategy, all that sort of stuff. So it's a bit of a two videos into one scenario. We're going to start with why I have the channel. Also going to take my glasses off first because I think I had some weird reflections. So I started this channel about a year ago, and it was all to do with a video I found online about these food styling hacks that was getting millions of hits, but was completely incorrect information. And I follow a few YouTube channels. I quite enjoy YouTube. I spend more time watching YouTube than I do watching television, that's for sure. So on YouTube, we have a few different types of photography channels. We've got the gear review ones that I find boring, just not for me. We then have the how-to videos, which are very useful, especially when it comes to software how-tos. I spend a lot of time going, don't know how to do that. I'll search on YouTube, someone will show me. Very useful stuff. Then we have the kind of showreel channel. So this might be Phase One or Canon or Harper's Bazaar, Vogue, showing you behind the scenes how it's done, what they use, how the kit's done. I find those fascinating. I love a good behind the scenes video, and they're great. And then we have the commercial side of the business. And the commercial side is now split into two different things. Perhaps what a lot of us would call content creators, and then the sort of old school commercial photographers. It's a bit of Moggy's fluff floating in the air. Now, I sit in the old school camp. I don't particularly have social media presence. This YouTube thing's a very new thing to me. It's not something I'm seeing as a business as such. My photography is still the business. We'll get onto that later on in the video. So there's a few great channels out there. I've always watched the Carl Taylor channel. It's very fascinating, very interesting. And he brings through a lot of good information for free. I know you can buy his courses as well, which will obviously be more in depth. But his way of working and his style of working, his geographical location is very different to mine. And I work in one very specific niche, whereas he has a bit more of a broader, he does some fashion work, some commercial still life work. But I just photograph food, and I have a very specific way of working, and the way that I work is very different to the way that he works. Both valid ways of working, just different. And I couldn't find anyone with my sort of content out there. And then when this video came up with these food styling hacks and what food stylists and photographers are doing, it kind of infuriated me a little bit because it couldn't have been further from the truth. And people going, yes, this is how they do it. And it's like, no, this is not what we do. This is not what this business looks like. And I didn't know that when I started out because there's no real there's no degree which will get you ready for this job. There's no college in the UK that you can go to set you up to be a commercial food photographer. So I thought I'd start making videos. And I kind of enjoyed it because my work is quite stressful, and I'm very much I do what I'm told person. So I get given a brief, given a scamp, and I have to reproduce it on budget, on brief, on time. That's what I do. And it's great. I love what I do, but it's not very creative. I don't get to choose how things look. Whereas here, this setup, which I'm going to show you in a bit, is exactly how I want it to be. I chose it, my thoughts, my taste, everything's how I want it to be. The way that I cut the videos, that's my choice, my taste, and I quite enjoy that. So after a year of doing this, I've sort of worked out roughly what I'm doing. I'm going to continue to do it with the 2 videos a week. I'm going to stick to doing business stuff, how to and behind the scenes, but because that's quite vague, I'm going to keep it within my niche. So it's all going to be about how I work and what I do. Yeah, a lot of it, if you're a car photographer, it still works for you. A lot of the points I raise will be relevant, but this is very much focused on my profession in this channel. And I think it's a good way to sort of let people know what you could be doing as a career. There's always a shortage of food photographers at certain levels. So now, unfortunately, in this channel, I can't show you the big shoots I do. Papa John's, Mars, Pepsi, they're not going to let me turn up and make a YouTube video whilst they're paying me a lot of money to produce an image for them, which is going to make them a lot of money. It doesn't work like that. But what I will try and do is show you how I'd go about them and what I'd do. So if that is the sort of thing you're interested in, do hit subscribe. But what I'm going to show you now is how I do these videos and how I produce them while still being able to be a full-time professional photographer. Let me grab a piece of paper. Now, this is an ever-evolving system, but so far I film on a Sunday. And the reason I film on a Sunday is because I work from a warehouse. We have a huge industrial lift outside. We have big metal doors and shutters. It's not very conducive to audio recording Monday to Saturday. Doesn't work. So Sundays are the day I come in. Now, I don't come in every Sunday. I come in every other Sunday, so I get some family time as well. And what I do, I have a list. This is my list. On this list, I've got 27 video ideas that I make whilst I'm sat at home watching TV in the evenings. I then plot them out, work out all the different shots I need, and then I come in on a Sunday and I blitz through them all, or as many as I can. Then during the week, when I have a bit of time here and there, I do the edit, And then the most painstaking part is the upload. That actually takes me a long time to do. I often do it in the evenings once the kids have gone to bed. I'll be sat down at the settee with my laptop out, my partner will be watching TV, and I'll sort of be tapping away, or she'll be often working as well, actually. We're both self-employed, so there's a lot of evening work going on. So with the setup I'm about to show you in a minute, obviously it takes time to set it up. I normally set it up on the Friday evening. It stays set up over the Saturday, and I'm coming on Sunday, it's good to go. And what I'm going to do now is show you around my setup so you can see exactly how I'm doing this, why I'm doing it, and all the bits of kits I use. I'm going to try and link everything I've got in the description, because if you're thinking about doing a YouTube channel, I'd highly recommend you do it. If for nothing else, it'll help you become a better photographer, because I get asked questions that I know the answer to. And as I'm answering these questions, I look at my own work or way of life and go, I'm not doing this. Why am I not doing this? I'm telling this person to do it, but I'm personally not doing it. And there's been a few times I've just gone, oh, I need to pull my finger out because I'm giving this person this sound advice and I'm not even following it myself. So it is worth starting a YouTube channel and just asking people for questions and answering them. You know, there's a lot of channels. I know that Joni from the Bike Shop was saying that she was learning photography whilst doing the channel. There's still this moggy hair floating around. That's going to be a nightmare in post when I'm sort of editing stills. Anyway, yeah, she was saying that she was learning photography as she was doing it. And the best way to learn anything is to teach somebody else. And I thoroughly agree with that. Is if you need to teach someone how to do something and you don't know how to do it, it's a really good way for you to learn. Right, let's look around the kit. So the whole setup is based around this camera and lens. This is a 5DS, it's my spare camera, and it has a Sigma 35mm 1.4 art, and that tethers into my iMac over here into the Canon EOS utility. So I can see what I'm doing and see if the camera's still recording. Then audio-wise, we've got the Rode NT-G2. This is a great little microphone. You'll see that I've got a lav mic on today. That's just for syncing a B-roll camera. And then the microphone I'm using here is the Rode Video Pro. So if I just take a bit of a step back, this is what I see whilst I'm filming. So let's talk about the lights. This here is the Photix R4. I think it's called a Nawada. This is great. I don't actually own this. I have stolen/borrowed from the Flash Center, and I'm hoping they don't ask for it back because I really like it. Although if they do, I guess I'll be buying it. So this ring light here is the newest edition. This is the Samtian ring light. It's like an Amazon job. It's nothing fancy, but it's my beard light, because anyone who knows me before YouTube will know that I've always worn the black t-shirt, and with a black beard when you're doing video and it's dark and moody, you kind of blend into one, but this just lets me get that little bit of light under my chin so I don't look like I'm wearing a beard t-shirt. And then as with all modern LEDs, both of these lights, they have the ability to adjust the color balance and the power. So I have my key light being slightly brighter and also slightly cooler. And then this on here, which is the fill light, I warm it up ever so slightly. It's minimal. I'm not even sure if you can see it on this particular shot, but just that ability really helps. Now the light stand this came with was really not that good. However, it's smaller than my C stands and it's the only light stand that works. So although it's not the best light stand, it's fit for purpose for this sort of thing. Definitely wouldn't take on location, but in the studio for a bit of YouTube action, absolutely fine. Now, when I first started out, I thought the setting was irrelevant. It turns out people really like the backgrounds and it's very important. So what I've got at the moment, and I'm hoping to upgrade these eventually, are two newer, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, lights with one side has red gel, this side has blue gel, and then back here I have my hazy light and it just has the modeling lamp on, which does create a hiss, which I'm sure you can hear, but I don't have another light to give me that background separation. Then I keep a camera in the background as well on my studio stand. I've got my paper rolls, then my grip and modifiers over here. Now if you've seen my studio tour, you'll know this is just one corner. I'll try and show you around the rest of it. There we go. There's all the rest of the chaos in the main room. Then obviously having this screen here means I can see that we're all going nicely. So if I just focus there and look in here, I can see that I'm filming. As we move around, pretty simple setup. The only things I need to get out are the lights, really. Everything else is always good to go. Now you're probably thinking, why is he showing off having all his kit in the background? Well, it turns out that other photographers don't really listen to you unless you own expensive kit. That's the painful truth. When I used to film them in the office with no fancy kit in the background, no one really paid attention. Put some fancy kit out there, people start listening. Very basic stuff, but I'm sure I'd be exactly the same, and I'm sure that if somebody... We're all a bit basic like that, let's be honest. I do the same, I judge people on what their backgrounds are like. So once I finish filming these, I take all the footage and I organize it into subfolders. So this one here will be called How and Why I Film YouTube Videos. I'll have my A camera, I've got a B camera over there. I'll have my Canon 70D folder. I'll have a folder for the DJI Osmo. And all these folders get set up. I bring them into their own Premiere Pro session. And I then create my proxy files. I work on a MacBook Pro with 16 gig of RAM. When I'm really caning it, it can't keep up with all this video work. So all of that sort of thing is done through proxy files. I leave that running overnight. Then throughout the week, I just sort of chop them up. And whenever I've got a bit of spare time or I need a break from my commercial work, that's when I have a go at the editing. So I hope this has been useful for you. I hope you find it interesting. If you have any questions about this setup, let me know. And I'll try and answer them in the comments.